Having a successful blended beverage program largely is based on setup. Definitely some training to make sure that consistency is throughout, but things that are very important, like holding temperature, are really going to play through on how successful your program is. So if you're getting in, say, IQF fruit, like this box is here, you can see clearly it recommends being stored below 0. Other boxes will call out -20 or -30 for long-term storage, and that's really where they're coming from, is long-term storage in a warehouse that's basically a freezer. They want things that get to you in perfect condition, and they want what they have in inventory to last a long time. So 20 and 30 degrees below 0 Fahrenheit is far, far too cold to throw into a blender. But you have the ability to, because you can scoop those pieces of fruit and toss them in, but definitely not something we'd recommend. So what you want to do is basically when you get in your fruit from your purveyors, make sure that you provide adequate slacking time to get them up to the temperature range that they should be in for blending. And that's typically going to be close to 0 degrees Fahrenheit, maybe a little warmer depending on. So you want to make sure that you're allowing that time frame. This label on this hard pack ice cream container is a little bit more clear, more so than what the IQF fruit is. It calls out long-term storage of being -20 degrees, -10 to 20, but the actual dipping cabinet should be at +8 degrees. So you can't scoop ice cream at 20 degrees below 0, so it's harder to get that in to create damage to the system, but the fruit is a big impact and can be. Purees can be the same way. Some of those will come frozen. You need to provide adequate slacking time for those to come to refrigeration temperature. The size of the fruit is also important. So you can see we've got some IQF fruit mango here that's cut into a blendable size. The smaller the size, the easier that's going to blend. So something to keep in mind. Some of the other things to keep in mind is fruit over time. As you go through freeze-thaw cycles in your freezer, you may get some to clump up. Even more so if you're cutting fruit fresh and freezing it. So bananas is something that's commonly harvested, basically allowed to get to a point where the sugars reach kind of their peak, and then people will peel those, cut those and put those in the freezers, and a lot of times that'll clump together. So when you end up with large pieces of fruit that are together, you need to make sure that those are broken apart before those go into a blender. It's just for general use, so it'll blend out properly, but also reduce any damage to the machine because you've got large clumps of fruit that are going together. Other customers that are moving from smoothies or adding smoothie bowls to their menu, from time to time will actually take more aggressive action in storage than what they should, and also in recipe build. So a smoothie bowl is basically the same ingredients of a smoothie when you're in the frozen fruit section. You're just using a little more frozen and less liquid. And it's important to not lower the temperature of your freezer to compensate for that. You really just need to adjust your liquid to solid ratio. And your liquid to solid ratio can change a little bit depending on what the liquids are. So if you're using something like coconut water, it really doesn't have any sugar content in it. Something like apple juice has more, and that additional natural sugar that's in there is going to make things blend a little bit easier because that liquid won't freeze at the same temperature as something like a coconut water or a non-dairy milk would. So important to keep that in mind. Optimal, ratio may be around the 30% liquid, 70% solid. That'll get you in a close range, and then you just need to adjust a little bit. But anything that's true for smoothies is going to be even exponentially more important when you get into smoothie bowls because the difficulty level raises, especially when you're in a system that doesn't provide a tamper to do so. So a quiet one is a great machine. You can do smoothie bowls in it, but you really need to maintain your measurement, the temperature of those ingredients and the ratio, where if you're using something like a VitaPrep 3 that comes with a tamper, you can get away with a little bit more because you can physically force those ingredients to cycle through those blades. But again, temperature is very, very key. When you're building your recipe set, it is going to be important to also look at how many different SKUs you bring in, which ones are popular, to marry those into as many different combinations as you can, reasonably, but also to look at customization and what that could mean to your system. So strawberry is a very popular ingredient. It's probably the most popular smoothie is strawberry or strawberry banana. So those are going to be key. Peaches may not be as popular depending on your location and customer base, so you may want to bring that in as a seasonal item or not have it at all because there just isn't a demand for it. You don't want to have ingredients on hand just for the sake of someone potentially ordering it. More times than not, that leads to waste because over time, these ingredients are going to go bad and you're going to have to throw those out. You don't want that loss, so you want to make sure that you have strong leaders and then potentially work in some limited time offer type of scenarios. Customization is also going to be something that customers may want to do. That can be for functional beverage where they might want to add a boost of ginger. You can do that with powdered ginger, probably a little bit easier than fresh because it's not going to go bad anywhere near as quickly. So having some of those ingredients that you can do as small add-ins are important. And in some cases, it's a great idea to create a path for success for those customers who want something different. So you can have standard menus for a strawberry banana smoothie, and you know the amount of liquid that you need to go in and the amount of frozen fruit to go in or puree and ice to get to that success level. Setting up an ordering system for the customer to know I can choose these liquids, but I can only choose so many of them and so many fruits or vegetables to go in will create the finished yield that you're targeting as well as simplicity for the build from an employee standpoint. Things from social media often end up out there because someone's very proud of something that they've created, something unique, but you want to make sure it's manageable for your employees to actually create those beverages from a speed of service standpoint and also to not have more ingredients on hand than is really optimal for profitability. Look forward to any questions you might have, and happy blending.